So you're getting the nearest neighbours form Dar al-Islam, the country of Islam. And Christendom and Dar al-Islam face each other. And they're the mirror image of each other. Islam is something on the map, Christianity is something on the map. And this dictates a lot of the shape of religious history. It becomes still more important when the other forms of Christianity begin to get weak, either like the Middle East Christians are under Islamic rule, or the Christianity of Central Asia disappears. In time, the Christianity of Nubia and Sudan disappears. And it looks as though Europe really is Christianity on the map. Christianity has become geographical. A geographical expression. Totally different from the early history of Christianity. And Europe becomes the representative Christian area. I'd really like to think of what this does to Christian doctrine and to what it does to the idea of conversion. But by contrast with a little time ago, we've all gone strangely quiet. And I think it's time we try to unpack this a bit and talk about it.
Two comments. One, I don't know how, but I got into I've always known the story that Christendom came from the conversion of Constantine. And so it was quite a surprise in the readers for this class when some of the places I was reading the stories, the same stories that you're telling today, that actually is about conversion of whole groups of peoples, the tribes, and so the territorial conception. So that has been a shift for me so far. But the second one has to do with, again, one of the readers pointed out that the whole thing of secularization is a myth, because Europe was never really Christian. There was no individual piety as such. It was about the people coming together, coming to Christ or to faith as territories, and so there was still a lot of superstition and it's, in some ways, every man, the king said let's, or the tribal leader said let's become Christians, but still every man will do as he sees best in his own. I don't know if you want to unpack a bit of that, but again, it was like an eye-opener. What? Europe was never really Christian?
Well, there's lots of things there. Constantine, yeah, I think it's time we stopped blaming Constantine for Constantinianism. One thing Constantine never does, it's an absolute myth that Constantine establishes Christianity in the Roman Empire. Constantine is only baptized on his deathbed. He'd been told about the dangers of sin after baptism. Politicians usually avoided baptism till it was Constantine to go. And Constantine was a politician. He encourages Christianity. He avoids the personal commitment to the end. He could encourage it, and he did, and make some very important steps in that regard. But it was impossible for him to establish Christianity. The Roman Empire wasn't like that. The emperor couldn't do things like that. There are too many interest groups, too many powerful vested interests. Who were the last people in the Roman Empire to become Christian? The Senate, the old aristocrats. The powerful, wealthy people are the people who come last.
It's quite similar today.
Sorry?
I said it's quite similar today.
Yes. But it's true in the Roman. So, yes, you can say Theodosius establishes Christianity. But it's a different sort of establishment. You're you're making it state religion, or state cult will now be Christian and so on, yes. But you're not, and you can use state sanctions for punishing any religious manifestation that's politically inconvenient. And many Roman emperors do that. But you don't have that sort of Christendom, as it develops, is a product of a different process, and I think it's essentially one that belongs to these traditional societies that move by consensus. And it comes from the adoption of customary law by the peoples of the North and West. And that's far stronger than anything Roman law can do. You cannot, it is our custom. And what we see with Clovis, with Edwin, with the Icelandic decision, Christianity becomes our custom. And we live according to that. So, you're adopting a principle of vassalage whereby everyone is subject to a particular lord. The lords, the little lords are subject to bigger lords. The bigger lords are the barons, the vassals of the king. And the king, Christian king, is a vassal of the King of Kings, Christ. Your laws should be conformable to the law of God. So, within a Christian community, there should be no blasphemy, no heresy, no idolatry. All those things become criminal offences. We still have, in Britain, for instance, a law against blasphemy. And now people, it's a long time since it was actually applied, but blasphemy is still a criminal offence for us. People want to alter that. Couldn't we extend the law of blasphemy to all religions so that if you insult the Quran, you could also be got for that. But this law of blasphemy is not there to protect people's feelings. people's religious opinions. It's there to avoid judgment of God on the nation, which is what is likely to happen at this blasphemy. Sorry, somebody was, several people, yes. Sorry, I forgot your name. Samuel, is it?
Samuel.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. In this account, I'm seeing a very high level of syncretism. And this gives me now the fear of when the gospel crosses the frontiers
Yes.
from one missional frontier to another. If the receptors are not careful, then they may end up even distorting the gospel itself. Because right now what we are saying is just systems being converted to Christianity, but the hearts are not converted.
Yes, we're not getting, we've already seen other processes are going on. Patrick goes through some sort of experience whereby he moves from a nominal, what we would now call a nominal Christianity, to something which is obviously very real, and he's calling on other people. It's what happens when the king becomes converted, and the other men become converted. Yes, but yes, I think that's a permanent point. And Ibn, you were in the same.
The divine right of kings idea comes from this.
See, syncretism is the word you used, I think. You did say syncretism, didn't you, at first? Slippery word always, because nobody ever says I'm a syncretist. Syncretism is something you do. I contextualize. Just as nobody belongs to a sect. Other people belong to sects. So syncretism means mixing. Literally, that's what it is, mixing. And what are you mixing? I'm talking about turning what is already there. Conversion is another word for syncretism. But we all know, I mean, you're using the word, and you're referring to illegitimate mixing. Yes. And Western Christianity is very syncretistic. We can come to that in other ways soon, but Divine Right of Kings, you see the same process. You're going to mix kings in a good deal of understanding of these people. The king was the son of the divinity. Now this is going to be brought into contact with Christian teaching. So one of the things that's going to happen early is the king will be crowned, inaugurated in church, in a setting of worship, with a powerful sermon by the bishop, who will address both the king and the people.